So what was the defining moment where I decided I wanted to be a journalist? It's kind of an interesting story, actually. I grew up in Palo Alto. I am the daughter of a female chemist. To be a woman chemist in the 1940s was pretty unusual, let me just tell you. It is now, so you can imagine what it was like 50 years ago. And my brother is an engineer, my father's an engineer, and my brother's a molecular biologist. What's missing in this picture is the liberal arts major, which is me. But I was very lucky to have a very good friend in high school whose father was a political editor at the San Francisco Chronicle, and he had a number of roles there. But it was through that I got to start to see what it was like to be in a newsroom and to hear these fantastic stories. So you may have all remembered when Patty Hearst was kidnapped, and it was a very big deal in the Bay Area. And at the time I was kind of tall and a little bit more willowy than I am now, and I had long wavy hair. And one night I walked into the Chronicle around 10 o'clock to pick up my friend Brian, who was working as a copy boy there. And one of the reporters stood up and leaned over his desk and said, "Patty?" And I kind of felt this buzz go through the newsroom. It was really funny. They thought Patty Hearst had just come to turn herself in, which was very ironic because the Chronicle was deeply competitive at that time with the Hearst-owned Examiner paper, so they thought on top of everything else she'd come to the Chronicle to give herself up. So it was just one moment, but you felt that thing go through the newsroom, and I've always loved that. I've always loved being there around people as news breaks and being part of that. It's terrifically exciting, and what's great about online now is that it's just so much faster and it's so much all the time. So for anybody who's got a little bit of an ADD thing going on, it's just a wonderful business to be in.
I was in the 9th grade, and my English teacher, who was also the student newspaper advisor, said, "We need somebody to be the sports editor, and since you like football, why don't you do it?" And so I started writing about junior high school football, and I quickly realized that this was something I loved doing. I started, as lots of guys do, as a sports writer, but I knew from the time I first filed that this was something that I wanted to pursue, which I did for the rest of my life.
I guess I've always known that I wanted to be a journalist, but the sort of moment that defined it for me was I got to be the editor of my camp newspaper when I was 8. At day camp, and it was really fun. I got to go and see all of the little student productions that they were doing, all the campers, and I remember taking pictures for the first time and learning how to develop them in the darkroom and all that kind of stuff. So I just really got a buzz out of it. It was really fun. So stick with it.
The moment I wanted to be a journalist, it was when I was in middle school, I think. I was about 13. And I was reading some newspapers, and I got to read a lot of articles on just random profiles of people. And I really wanted to be a part of that. I really wanted to be a part of telling people's stories from far away, like foreign lands, things like that. I thought it was really interesting, and I didn't get much exposure to the outside world where I was from. So I really want to bring the outside world to people. Yeah.
I realized I wanted to be in the media industry back in 2002. I came from Norway over to Houston in Texas, and the company I worked for went bankrupt, and I would like to write the stories about and do the research. I would know more about the market and be the first to know and the first to report what happens. So I think that's great with the news industry. We're here, we're getting the news first, and hopefully we'll deliver it to others, or at least we'll get to know ourselves.